By the time you guys probably watch this, it'll probably be later in the afternoon or maybe this evening. I decided to create a quick, what I call whip and chat. I usually don't upload a lot of midweek videos, but I wanted to kind of share some of the things that's going on in my mind right now. And I guess the best way to describe it is I didn't want to maybe subject myself to any critique or criticism, just wanted to kind of share. Obviously, right now, it's a uncertain time for all of us. Um, I am still working, thankfully, and my son as well. Now, you guys all know my son because he co hosts a lot of my shows. And he has a job that he really enjoys and that he had started climbing at. And his job is considered essential. He was working at the job with a friend. And so he would, ride with the friend to work, um, come home. Since all of this has transpired, my son's friend no longer works with him. My son had a permit which allows you to be able to ride with anyone who's had a driver's license for at least 2 years. However, during the midst of all of this, he obviously cannot ride by himself in the event that he stopped. Um, and so, because of that, his options were to return to public transportation, or, which was my, only option, me taking and picking up. There was some other things that kind of played in my mind around that because that just wasn't an option for him. Who wants to, as an adult, be dropped off and picked up by their parents, um, as opposed to, just some independence and things. Um, but there was just some fear that I, kind of struggled with that, I didn't want to scare him with. I just said, no, in this day of crazy where everybody could be out there and everyone could be, doing crazy things, getting their cooties all over the place, I would much rather just be able to pick you up, drop you off. Um, and I kind of left it at that. I don't want you to lax in, hygiene, forgetting to put on hand sanitizer. I don't want you to accidentally forget to put your gloves on and go to touch a pole on the bus of, just things of that nature, that everyone is considering. But there were some other things that were on my mind as well. And I did not want to I've never had to introduce anything like this. I didn't want this to be the time to introduce anything like this. But I also felt like my son's a young African American male and he's out there, maybe taking public transportation. And what else does that subject him to? I guess was my mindset. And it's a real scary thought for me. You know, he has an N95 mask. He purchased the N95 mask probably about 2 years ago when he first got into physical fitness. Him and some of his friends, they were going to the gym, exercising and working out. On top of that, they were jogging, and they were getting into boxing, kickboxing, and Muay Thai fighting. Um, and so the breathing and not inhaling any dust and allergens was a huge part of that, which is where their mask came from. But when he puts it on and he puts on a hat and he puts, on, some kind of gloves or back, he just looks like he could be. My mother pointed this out. Um, he looks like he could fit the description. I guess is the softest way that I could say it. And the unfortunate part about that is while he's just trying to practice, additional safety precautions, while he's just trying to, ensure he doesn't bring anything into the home where my mom or myself can, get sick, um, which we applaud. There's this other whole thought process behind, what could occur if he's just hanging out at a bus stop waiting for public transportation. So I have tried to eliminate that completely, and I have been dropping off and picking up. Um, and I just wonder, some of you with adult children, you know, at any point in time, they could get with the wrong crowd and have been pinpointed or pegged. But it is so much additional worry when there is just nothing associated with it and they could still be pinpointed and pegged. Am I wrong? Do you guys think that that fear is just completely asinine? I'm adding too much worry into the fray in a uncertain time. That's just something that's absolutely unnecessary. I don't introduce that into my kids' lives at all. Um, and I don't think that that's something that even is crossing his mind. But I watch TV and I see some of the things that are reported. I try, unfortunately, to turn up, I guess a good way to say it is to turn a blind eye, because I feel like it's not my world. It's not a part of anyone that I know and anyone that, I associate with. So I don't try to internalize it. But like I said, this could just be me overthinking. It just could be me on a paranoid mom rant. But it is something that has really caused me so much concern, so much loss of sleep. It's just such uncertain times right now. Um, I don't know. I would like for anyone to rein in. I don't want it to get into a situation where the comments are kind of battling back and forth with one another. Just your own thought process behind how you think that I'm feeling. It is, like I said, something that is causing me a lot of concern, and I just wanted to kind of quickly share as I opened up my video. But I know that you guys noticed last week I wasn't available, and I think the week before, or last week I was late, and the week before, um, those were the two most immediate weeks that it impacted me. So I definitely, I was late last week. I went to grab him, and I ended up having to wait. He's the last one out and things. He locks up. He's the number two man, I would say, and so there is some significance behind what he does and who he is at his job, which I'm very proud of. Definitely am very proud of. I know that he has an enjoyment for it. Because of the job, he wants to go back to school. He has a clearer path and a clearer focus now of what he actually wants to do when he returns. And yes, the job would be, paying. He has tuition reimbursement, so they would be paying. And he definitely wants to grow because of the job. So he has a significant amount of importance and value that he places on the job. I don't ever want to take away from that. But I just was like, this could be mean, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. I had a quick mama moment where I was like, why did you lay him off? You know? Um, and so that's, just a quick, like I said, mama moment. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Should I have had that mama moment or anything? Now, here's the worst part about what is going on in my mind. You guys know I have two kids, And so, even though there's a crazy thought that I have, and that fear and that worry about my son, and coupled with the fact that he could fit the description, then there's my daughter. My daughter ended up starting college 2 years early. She entered a program where she applied at 15 and she was able to start working on college. She completed almost all of her high school credits with the exception of her English classes. That really was all that she needed. They allowed her to take her English classes through what they call a homeschool program, but she actually attended college, went to school on the college campus, and as a senior in high school, where she's simply getting her English credit, she is actually ending her sophomore year in college and will qualify for an associate's degree. Um, there is a horrible dichotomy here. My daughter, when she would leave, she went to school her first year for CNA, Certified Nursing Assistant. Those are the people, nurses, doctors, CNAs, who are in the trenches. They're so embedded in the trenches that they get the face mask and they have to go in. Um, Initially, she had got her license, and she did have to apply for what is known as a I forget what it's called, but she was underage when she first started school. She was, they allowed her because of the program. But when it came to testing for the license and taking certified nursing assistant classes, because most of those jobs require you to be 18, she hadn't reached 18 yet. She ended up having appeal. That's the word. She ended up having to appeal, and then there was a law that had came out that her and some of her professors had looked up, that allowed you to obtain the education, and if you were successful, to actually go on to license for the work. So with that said, she was able to finish going through school. She was able to test for her CNA license, and she was successful in obtaining her license. Trying to get employed is a different story. However, she has since turned 18. As you guys know, for her 18th birthday, I did the Snow Queen and gave that to her. The trepidation now becomes, that's the work, the line of work that she's wanting to go in. With all of the apprehension and fear that I have built up in Justin, I hate to think or to wonder at why I don't feel that same apprehension and fear and worry behind her believing that, this is a field that she would like to work in. She wants to contribute, she wants to help out. You know, there is an innate fear that obviously she's going to be on the forefront, right there in the front lines. But I think that I just trust that she won't lax in any technique. She won't lax in any options and things. So that takes me back over to my son, and I just don't understand why there's so much fear, why there's so much trepidation, what it could be if it, but there is a lot of fear, there's a lot of worry, and I don't understand why it surmounts so high when it's in relation to me thinking about him going out in the midst of everything that's going on and what could occur, versus when I think about her perhaps going out in the midst of everything that's going on. There is a tremendous amount of additional fear associated when I think about my son than when I consider my daughter, and she is looking to work in the trenches on the front line assisting right there. The rehabilitation centers, the nursing homes, the hospitals, which is what needs her the most. That's the front line. That's deep down in the ditch, right there in the trench, helping battle the war. And, like I said, I have a worry. I want her to be safe, but the fear is just not there. It's a worry. It's a baby, be safe. Mommy, trust your, thought process and your methodology. And I don't think that way when I am considering the same with my son, going out into his essential role. And I just, I wonder. I wonder what that is, what it's about. What do you think it is? Is it, a difference between boy child, girl child? Does it have to do with, responsibility? Are girl children more driven, more methodical? Could it be that? I don't know. I think it's an excellent question. I really would like anyone to kind of rein in and help me through the thought process. But I lose a lot of sleep. I have been losing a lot of sleep. Today is day 20, um, and I have several more to go. The earliest that I will be returning out of the home into a job workforce would be no sooner than May 4th, if that is to occur. So, with that said, today being April 1st, that's still well over a month. And again, today is day 20. Um, so, help me understand. It would definitely be something that, I would welcome, suggestions on. Like I said, I don't want, hopefully, it doesn't become a battle, about, oh, that's because, this. And I just want to know, in my own personal instance, most of you guys have come to know me, from watching me so up close. Um, I have, plenty of you that I definitely consider friends, and I'm sure that, after coming to know me and communicating with me for well over a year, that you could probably, provide me just a great source of, information as to, how I could move forward and maybe kind of get past the thought process. But it is there. It's definitely there. And every morning when he gets up and he is gearing to head out for his day, I start to cringe. I really do. And maybe it's because my daughter's not on the front line as of yet. Like, she's not out in the trenches. She's just looking. So maybe it could be, that, um, you know, like that mentality where you'll cross that bridge when it comes, or something to that effect. But I do wonder, and I did want to just kind of get up and kind of share that, mainly because I, I probably won't be live today. So I said, let me just do a little quick video. Um, and the reason why is when I get home, after I pick up Justin, I feel like I have to do a lot of apologizing. I'm quite sure this is not ideal for him, but I think out of his love for me, out of his love for my mom, I think he just deals with the circumstance. It is what it is. I'd rather her be at peace than, any kind of fear or trepidation that she has surmounting. So when we get home, there's always this period where, I'm in makeup mode. Hey, you want mommy to get that for you? Hey, do you want mommy to do this for you? Obviously, I have requested, hey, off with all your clothes. Let's get that into the wash. So, we get started on that every night when he comes in. Um, we're, and you guys could feel that this is like a total overreaction of what's going on, but it's just about at this time, having a routine that brings just a little less, I guess, fear at a time like this. My mom suffers with asthma. I suffered with asthma until I moved out here to Las Vegas to the desert. I always knew because I grew up in Connecticut when I was younger, and a lot of older people in our community, as they got older and they suffered with like um, breathing issues, they would move west. They would go to uh, Phoenix, or they would go to Vegas and things of that nature. So I struggled a lot more when I was younger with asthma than when I became an adult. But there was a time after my daughter was born that I was living in Ohio, and I was having asthma attacks all the time. It could have been weather related. It could have been a lot of times it's an allergen, maybe where we stayed at, being surrounded by so many trees. There's definitely not a lot of trees here in the desert. So I suffered and I struggled, and I knew coming west would be, just an ideal situation to help me out. I probably had maybe an asthma attack probably a month, sometimes maybe twice a month when I stayed home in Ohio. Moving out here, that became far and far less. There was a point from like 2012 to perhaps 2015 that I didn't have like an incident at all. Um, no asthma attack at all. So, in order to be diagnosed with asthma, I believe you have to have at least 1 or 2 episodes in like a 6 month period or something like that. So obviously, moving west was ideal, and it reduced, greatly reduced the asthma attacks that I was having. Again, it could be because asthma is considered an allergy, and it could be because I moved away from the allergens that impacted my asthma. However, every once in a while I will have a breathing bout where I feel like my chest is getting kind of tight and things like that. So here we are here in the desert, and after my pops passed, it was ideal to bring my mom. My mom has asthma. She suffered a lot, perhaps a few of them a week when she lived in Ohio. She moved out here, and there has been considerably less. She had an inhaler that she had to have refilled at least once, sometimes twice in a month when she lived at home. She refilled her last one when we went back home over the end of the summer. And that one, the first one lasted her from May until I think July, is what she was saying. She had another one that lasted July through September. She got her last one in September filled, and that one didn't get replaced until like January. So moving to a drier climate has definitely been ideal for her as well. But that still doesn't stop us, from wondering and worrying and just doing everything that we can. So hopefully that does offer an explanation as to why, we feel it's important when he comes in to just kind of, you know, jump in, get his clothes, everything washed up, and ready for the next day. In an uncertain time where so many people are now unemployed and have, lost their jobs and things, my son has got more hours added to his schedule. Um, a few more duties and things of that nature have been added to what he's done, what he does. And so, again, I am very proud of him, and this is definitely a field like we've been explaining that he wanted to go in. Just for anyone who doesn't know, we both work in the auto industry. I work in insurance. I'm licensed in insurance and I'm an adjuster. And so my son is in the auto industry. He works on the service side at a dealership. So he kind of ensures that the paperwork trail and everything, he handles data entry, receiving in vehicles when they come into the dealership, ensuring that everything matches up. The sales reps, when they are going to show a vehicle, they have to go into his office, let them know what they're looking for. He'll get the paperwork and the vehicle information for them to be able to go out and sell it. He also works for the service side as well. They have a repair and collision center at his dealership. So he is pretty much the central housing that everything goes through paperwork wise in the dealership. Just to kind of give you an idea. The only thing he doesn't do is financing. There's a finance manager that handles that portion. So with that said, kind of moving over from there, there were quite a few others that helped out that kind of worked in the office, um, and they worked shifts. As business slowed down and things of that nature, there were a portion of them who worked different shifts and things, who were laid off. He was not one, and so like I said, there was that mean thought that why not him moment that I had. Um, but I am proud of him. I am proud of the fact that he kind of changed his career path. He had no idea what he wanted to do. He was in college for just over 2 years. I paid for his school, um, and I literally told him because he kept changing his major. Since you don't know what you want to do, and we're not, getting any closer to any type of a degree, why don't you, wait, take some time off until you know what you want to do. So that is where his thought process came from now, wanting to kind of get a little bit more into the auto industry. His job will pay for him to go to school, which is great. And right now, the decision is going to be what aspect of the auto industry he's considering. Risk management. That's what you go to school for, to work in insurance or loss prevention, things of that nature. He's considering finance. Obviously, that would enable him to go more into the finance side, handling financial institutions, banks, and things of that nature. He just really enjoys being in the auto industry. He's also thinking infrastructure, um, which I think is great. Infra- infrastructure in regards to working on airplanes, working on, um, so that would be the tech and the repair, the service side, the repair and the collision side of the industry. Maybe taking the information and the knowledge that he gains from there, and then going on into infrastructure and maybe working in, he's mentioned working in the private sector. We don't know, if that's where he'll truly end up, but I love to hear how working at this job has impacted the path and the decisions that he makes and where he wants to go. Love hearing that. And so those are the things that we sit and we kind of talk about when we're diamond painting together. For you guys who don't know, uh, this is a hobby that he and I share together. Um, and yes, while you guys don't see him on video a lot, it's usually because of his schedule at work. We do still have our diamond painting sessions, he and I, where we sit and we kind of talk and we kind of go over a lot of, what he wants to do, his thought process on where he wants to go, where he feels he'll end up, things of that nature. While I try to have those same sessions with my daughter, She's just not into diamond painting. so so I do listen to her when she's talking and things like that. She's young to be so driven. I will definitely say that this her concept of where she wanted to go started when she was entering the sixth grade. Was it sixth or fifth grade? I think it was sixth grade. I want to say, yeah, sixth grade. She was going into middle school, and in the fifth grade, halfway through, which made her 10. She hadn't turned 11. She had decided that she was going to enter the program that would enable her to do the homeschool so that by the time she was 15, she would be able to simply enter college. Um, there was a hope at that time that she would be still attending. For me, there was a hope. She could have cared less, but there was a hope at that time that she would have still been attending her regular high school to at least get that last English credit. She did not attend, just so you guys are aware, she didn't attend homeschool for that. She literally entered college, although she had a homeschool that allowed her to still participate in sports and things. If she chose, she didn't have to, but it allowed her to at least have a way to still participate in sports and things. But as I said, she once she entered college, she did leave everything high school behind. Although this technically is her senior year, and she would have been able to still attend prom, senior trip, all of that with all of her, homeschool friends. So for me, and I think I'm taking this a lot harder than she is. For me, I always wanted her to not give up her childhood experience. And I remember having that discussion with her. I will back you on this. And she was so young. She was like 10 years old. And who at 10 knows really truly what they want to do? I mean, I wasn't sure at 10 what I wanted to do. At my ripe old age, I'm still not 100% sure if I chose correctly. But she wanted to start on the path to taking, as many high school classes as she could, getting as many high school credits as she could. And the more high school credits that she earned prior to high school, the closer she would be to this program, homeschool program, where she would be able to simply attend college as a college student. The more classes she took as a student, the more courses that were paid for. And as I told you, I paid for my son's school. So my daughter, as she got closer, that's one of the things that she kept saying to me. Besides, Mom, it's going to keep you from having to pay for my college like you had to with his. I probably complained a little too much, and then the baby turned around and used it against me. But those are just the things that are on my mind. How all of this stuff ties together, ended up tying together. Like I said, the methodology behind my daughter having put all of this in place at such a young age, seeing it come to fruition, I think those are some of the reasons maybe why, it just hasn't, I don't know, just hasn't scared me as much as my son. He happened along an opportunity that just ended up being great for him. And, while I am applauding everything that he is doing and where his mindset is going, I think the fear is maybe the implementation and how, it came about. Not that it was a well thought out plan, not that it was, like how my daughter was. Those are the things that I have to, embrace and hope, because I don't know. I don't know why there is a tremendous amount more fear, but there is. Do I want my daughter out there on the front line? Not particularly. And I say not particularly because she's very headstrong. And even if I say, no, you're not going, I don't know if there would be a way that I could stop her anyway. My son, I think, I don't want to say he loves me more, but my son would always take my feelings and my heart and how worried and fearful I am. He will always take that into consideration. I really feel like that's why he went to college. My son, he filled out all his own paperwork. I didn't ride him at all. He was not a horrible student. He just wasn't a top student. Um, he definitely had his favorite subjects. Science was definitely his favorite. History was a great subject. Next in line probably would be math. English, not his best subject at all. He was good for a good C in English, and he was proud to get it. So, but when it came to history, he could definitely pull down nothing but A's. When it came to science, he's good for A or B, depending on what that semester was. And same with math. But when it came to English, reading, anything, he wasn't good at. He didn't like electives either. But any one of those topics, you know, yeah, you're in for it. So I didn't expect him because there was no true desire to really go to college that was ever discussed. I didn't expect him to go, and was shocked when he said, "Hey, mom, I need you to come to the." It was some sort of meeting that they were having at the school, and I said, "Okay, all right, I'll go." My son did play football. My son also was on the dance team. He was the captain, and so yeah, he had a lot of a lot of fans. So he was the captain. He, did all hip hop and things of that nature. He wasn't so good at modern, but he did throw his hat in there and try. There were some other guys that were a little bit better. They were classically trained, and so I definitely believe that's why they were better. In any event, yeah, he had a full, rich high school experience. Um, Man, prom king, everything that started happening for him. My son is very shy. He's very laid back. And come his senior year, like he turned into a different person. Like he was the most popular guy. Everybody just wanted him or part of him. He was nominated for everything you could be nominated for. And I mean, he just had an amazing last year. The one that you could, hope for. Going to all the dances, like I said, he was the captain of the dance team. I don't know if you guys have dance in your school. Some people have cheerleading, and cheerleading has become, such an athletic. It's very athletic. I remember my daughter; she was on the cheerleading squad her first 2 years of school before she went off to college, and they were begging for boys. The teams that had boys, obviously, they could do better stunts and things. So, um, it had turned into something a little bit different than when I was in school. But yeah, he lived the full, rich experience. And so I think when my daughter decided to do all of this, those are the thoughts that I had. You know, if she goes off to school and as a junior, then what does life look like for her? Does she still get to go to dances? Will she be too young? Interacting at a college around so many boys that are older, her being so much younger, will she have a good dating experience? Will she be able to interact with any of the girls? Because she'll be the baby. So those are the thoughts that I had. I definitely, wanted her to do things more in her homeschool environment. Um, she wasn't having it. She wasn't having it. When she left, to go to school, it was it was like she had graduated already. So she did try and attend one event. It was like a disaster. She got there. Um, she had been invited by a few girls. My daughter played. She always played softball. She played on the little leagues and things like that before she was old enough to play, junior high and high school and things. And she was always a cheerleader also. So she enjoyed cheering. She was the captain, and she went on. She did get her varsity experience for a few years in high school. So I think that that's how her mindset is. She didn't miss out on anything because she got to take advantage of them, early on. And my mindset is just have a full, rich experience for as long as you can, is how I thought of it. So she did. She got to do all of that. Like I said, captain of the cheerleading squad. She tons of competition, cheer competitions. She also played softball. In any event, she attended a high school football game after she had gone off to college. And while people were like, "Hey, how are you?" Even the girls said, "Why don't you come to the game?" They wanted to see her in passing. So when they invited her, it wasn't like, "Hey, let's hang out, let's go, walk around, let's sit in the stands together." When they invited her, it was more of a, "Hey, I hope to see you." And she ended up being there at the game by herself. It wasn't a rich experience. I felt horrible, you know. She told me that the game was going to be a few hours. She gets dropped off about 6:30, going on 7, and I decided to take that opportunity to go hang out because I was going to be home in the evening by myself. It was well before diamond painting came along. Anyway, I don't know what made me decide to look down at my phone, but about an hour or two had passed, maybe less than an hour or two. But she had sent me, "Come and get me now," angry text. And I felt horrible because I had went somewhere. I think it was in a casino, and I had went somewhere where phone reception is spotty. And so where we were at in the casino, there was a bowling alley, and you couldn't get like text messages and phone calls and things like that. Um, and this is one of the few casinos that this happens in. However, she had been sending up smoke signals, and I wasn't getting them. I had went to the restroom, and the restroom is outside of the bowling area, and that's when I saw her messages. So rushed back to get her. I felt horrible because I didn't even make it back to the bowling area to tell some of the coworkers I was there to hang out with. Long story short, she said that she had been sitting off by herself almost the whole time. She saw a couple of the people that said, "Hey, why don't you come to the game?" But they kind of waved at her and kept on walking by. And I think that experience right there, I think she was just done. There wasn't any desire at that point to, you know. And I said, "Well, why don't you just go and sit and say you asked me to come?" Or, for me, I would have those questions kind of cleared out. My daughter was like, no, she wasn't allowing it to just be a big event, but it did frustrate her, and she did want to kind of go off on her own and not be bothered anymore after that. Um, and so she had, and that was the last event that she ever asked me to kind of take her to. So I think it is with that mindset. I think it is with that kind of, definitive. Her mind was made up. It was definitive. I think that is what has taken me into, okay, well, she's gonna be okay. She has her mind this way, and there's no changing it, and things like that. When it comes to my son Justin, he could have gone to a game by himself, and then everyone would have been coming trying to sit by him in the stands and things. The difference is so crazy because my son is, you know, very, very shy and kind of laid back. We have worked very hard on trying to kind of get him out of that so that, he can interact a little bit more. He's receptive when someone comes to him and they communicate, but they will have to, carry the conversation. They'll have to, ask most of the questions and things of that nature. He will answer. He's not, rude or anything like that, but he is very shy and nervous when it comes to initiating conversation and trying to carry the conversation. He feels like he'll stumble over words or something, and that'll, I don't know, peg him or pinpoint him. My daughter, on the other hand, is very outgoing, very outgoing, very popular. And so for that to have been her experience the last time she, went to hang, was crazy to me. It was definitely crazy because she's so outgoing. I am really shocked that no one was joining her in the stands and that people were just kind of waving and saying, hey, and keeping it moving and things like that. So I don't know. Like I said, there is a real wonder, when it comes to the two of them. I raised them both the same, though. I didn't think I did anything different. I have a boy child and a girl child, but I feel like I raised them both the same. So you never know. We'll, continue. But I wanted to kind of share that because I am scared. I am very fearful. And like I said, right now, I am definitely in mama mode when it comes to Justin. And I am trying to, you know, I'm trying to grasp the whys. Like I said, I don't really share too much with them except that, hon, it's uncertain times. And because it's uncertain times, there's me, there's grandma. We don't want anything unnecessary to be brought to the home. But to be honest, as I said when I first opened the video, it really is bigger than just that. The thought process behind, does he fit the description, is huge for me. Um, and I try to not share that kind of stuff with him because that's an everyday life that he would have to live once that's introduced to him. And I don't want there to be that fear. My son enjoys being of the world. He is laid back. He is friendly. Even though he's extremely shy, he is an easy friend to make for a lot of people. And so I don't want him to endure, you know, that undue stress and fear surrounding, how do I move forward now that that's been introduced to me. So I don't talk to him about that fear. But I am bringing it to you because I just want to know, in this day and age, in these uncertain times, is that a rational fear, or is that something, that is just asinine and I'm just overthinking and I am being a crazy mom right now that, yeah, I feel like I don't have no strength, none. I mean, I just feel really weak and I have been losing a lot of sleep. I mean, my mind is all over the place and it's just, it's crazy. Um, those days where he's not working, those are just wonderful days when we're all here in the house and I don't have to let my mind wander at all or worry. Man, wonderful days. But, you know, unfortunately, we both return to work. And when those days come, they can be just mind blowing, mind boggling. So that's all that I wanted to real quickly jump on and ask your opinion on. I sorry that it was such a dark video. I just wanted to make sure that I shared a little bit of what I was thinking, things of that nature, because I feel like, who else am I going to discuss it with? It's not like I could sit up here in the house and talk to the kids about it. So I definitely appreciate you guys for listening on that front. Um, Definitely, and I don't want to, when I talk to my mom sometimes, she puts an element and an aspect into the conversation that I feel causes me additional worry. So I try not to, she's the one who, when my son had his mask on one night, he was on his way into the gas station to he was putting gas in the car. We had went to go pick him up, and this was the last trip that I took my mom on. But she was like, "No, don't let him go in there with the mask on," um, which was the whole purpose. We're out in the element. Of course, we're gonna have him go in. And then she says, "You don't want them thinking he's there to rock the place." Never had thought of that, and I think that's where a lot of it came from. And I remember saying something like, "Why would they think that?" And after he got out the car with the mask on, and she put into perspective why. And I'm like, "Oh, that's horrible." So it wasn't anything that was ever naturally on my mind, but I guess once it was introduced, it's on there, and it's something that I probably, you know, can't take away, unfortunately. So it's a thought process. It is just a thought process. But that is where my mindset is. I know that I've taken up almost an hour thinking about that. Now I wanted to kind of move on to everyone's take right now on, you know, pardon me, I do apologize. Please don't think that means anything. That's the other thing that I have such a fear of. Normally, this time of the year, I'm scratching my eyes. I do start to sneeze here and there, and it's because of allergies. As the seasons change, more spring like weather conditions come along, that's natural. Sneezing in this day and age will get you outcast off of the planet. And so that was the other thing that I wanted to, kind of touch on. I know there's a lot of fear, and with each day that passes, every time a new case is announced, the fear just surmounts. And I'm right there with everyone. But at the same time, I wonder how much of this is, because coronavirus is not new. What's new is the COVID-19 portion of it, which was the strain that just kind of, went left of center. It's not, anything that they're used to having dealt with when it comes to the coronavirus. Um, and so they're wondering, going from here is, because of this, you know, how much extra precaution and, how much longer, will these symptoms arrive. So behind that, I just am wondering, is there any type of at all whatsoever, any type of cold or something that people are used to getting? Hey, I get sick all the time. Hey, if the weather drops, I may get sick. Hey, it's kind of extra windy for us. It's windy here in the desert. On top of it being windy, it's allergy time. Like my eyes are gonna be itching soon, and I just have a fear of being out somewhere and then coughing and getting kicked off the planet. uh, and I know I'm laughing about it, but it's a real fear right now. I think I saw a meme online the other day. Someone coughed, and you know, the whole world start packing up and moving away from them and things. So just wanted to know, is there any code, any type of allergy, any type of um, usual setting that you are trying to avoid because you know that that is going to, create cold like symptoms or something. Um, I've been trying to figure out my hair because um, when my curls are back, I usually wash my hair every other day. And, try and keep my curls moisturized. I'm a product junkie. And now, with my curls being back, and me possibly being able to get sick, um, I haven't been doing my hair like I normally would, and those are just crazy concerns, just crazy concerns that I'm having right now. So, is there anything unusual? And just to kind of tag back onto that, before, I didn't have a fear of getting sick. So if my head is wet and I have to go out into the cold and I got a little sniffle or something behind it, it wouldn't have been, you know, uh, uh, any type of concern. But now, if my head is wet and I go out into the cold and it causes a sniffle or something, then I worry, does this turn into a full blown cold? Things of that nature. So that's what I mean when I say, is there anything that you do or did, that was ordinary that may cause you to get sick, may not, that you're doing differently, that you're being more cognizant of, and maybe changing your routine a little. So that's all that I wanted. Kind of moving over from there, um, diamond painting. I talked about this last week. I'm going to bring it up you'll probably hear it a million times, but I just wanted to know, is everybody diamond painting? Is everyone, like, what craft has become your go-to craft right now? And the reason why I ask is because I look at my diamond painting and I say, you know, if I'm doing this so much during this time, will I still have a love for it afterwards? My fear is that I will lose the love for diamond painting when this is all done and over if I do it too much, if I'm here too much. I have limited, no matter, even though I just sit here and look at it, I have limited how much diamond painting I'm doing, simply because I don't want to end up burnt out. I've gone through my paintings, I've reorganized them, rearranged them, and I've done so because, again, I don't want to lose the desire. And sometimes just kind of going back over things, it gets me excited and it gives me an anticipation where I can't wait to, jump back on. So I have that. Also, the next thing that I have is, gifts. I've been outlining the gifts. I think I was talking to Elliot, um, and he has a gift that he is just about finished with. This is a gift that he is not giving until, I believe, July. But he started on it in such great time that he will be able to kind of relax back and just kind of, get it, get the framing if he's going to do a frame, make a final decision on that with plenty of time to where he can relax. And for me, I usually start gifts perhaps the month before, they're going to be given. So that's something that I definitely learned during this. I'm probably going to stretch gifts out, if I'm giving gifts, because everyone can't get a gift now, and everyone wants one. But I think I'm going to limit, how many people can get gifts and things like that. I know when we first start, that's the first thing we do. We give a lot of gifts. But I'm getting into the stage where, I want my diamond painting to be for me. Someone, I think, suggested, instead of giving the diamond completed diamond painting as a gift to perhaps give the kit and let them do it themselves. I think that's a great idea. Also, I'm just thinking about, like my daughter's reaction. My daughter loved her diamond painting. Can't get her to diamond paint with me, but she did love her gift of a diamond painting, completed work. So those are the things that I think about. If I do give a kit, what's the likelihood that the recipient will be just as thrilled to do it as they are to receive it? So those are, good thoughts. I guess that goes back to knowing, the person you're giving the gift to, just knowing them, knowing who they are, what they like, things of that nature. I'm all over the place with this one right here. Anyway, next up for here, because clearly it is the first April Fools for everyone. Yay! Um, it is the first. Um, April is a very difficult month for me. It is. My father, my father raised me, and yes, I'm spoiled, spoiled, spoiled. My brothers grew up with my mom. I grew up with my dad, and my mom remarried my stepfather. My stepfather, I called him Dad, and I called my father Poppy. And my father, Poppy, he passed away a few years ago, and his birthday is in April. And so those are difficult, very difficult days for me, because we had built up a great tradition for birthdays, and so it does hit very hard when his birthday comes around. And because it's April and Easter was already always in um, his birthday month, we had just a great tradition. He would make homemade baskets. I got Easter baskets well into adulthood. My children are getting Easter baskets, even though they're both grown. But it was a great tradition that I actually looked forward to. And so April is a very difficult month for me. And then last year, last May, Dad, my mom's husband, he passed away. So I do feel like this is going to be a rough enough road ahead of me to where, I'm going to need my diamond painting. And that's the other reason why I worry about, this time of uncertainty, burning me out on what is such a passion of mine. It's a huge passion. Any thoughts? Any thoughts on that and how you guys could help maybe me keep the passion? Because that really is a fear right now. If I do it too much, I'm going to lose the passion. I don't want to be burned out. You guys know I have too many diamond paintings that need to be done than to lose the passion and stuff. So I don't work other crafts. I used to crochet, and when Poppy passed away, I was working on my father loved to receive crochet blankets. I probably had made him well over 20 with different designs. He loved them. He would put them on display. He would take one, he kept them in a closet. He would take one, put it in the living room, and put that on display. My father entertained all the time. He loved to have company and receive guests. And he would put his proud blankets on display for when people came over. He'd have a new one out. He'd be like, "Where'd you get this one at?" "Oh, my daughter made that one for me too." "Yeah, I like that one." I would let him, the last, I think, 10 or 12, I let him pick out colors. So when everyone was doing the corner to corner and they were, moving on to, I wanted to participate. And I kept saying I should pull out my old. I was working on a blanket when he passed, and when I put it up, I have not taken it out since because I was working on it for him. And I've made other blankets for other people to give away. But this one right here, it was becoming a masterpiece. It was a new pattern I had never done before. I had purchased a book at the craft store with the pattern in it, and it was coming out gorgeous. I let him pick the colors. They were the colors that he wanted. And like I said, he passed away before it was completed. Probably only needed maybe 4 or 5 more rows. It was really, really almost done. And I haven't picked it up since. I started to, I looked at it, I just couldn't take it out. So that is maybe a goal. And one day I will probably move towards, getting that taken care of. I'm just not there yet. I'm just not there yet. But when I am there, I can't wait to share and to show and things of that nature. So that's where I am. Do you have a craft another craft besides diamond painting? And I know that there are a few of you, you're doing beaded cross stitch. I know a couple of people have moved on to start to try paint by number. I definitely thought I would be able to get into that. I purchased a few paint by number. I never touched them. I opened the canvas up. Woof, seen all them little tiny little spots that you got to paint in. Said, I'm good. I'm good. Okay. All right. You got me. You got me. You punked me. But perhaps on a light pad it would be easier. But they're still kind of tiny areas, and you have to master. You have to be able to master a brush, to feel comfortable. The completed works, they look nice. They look like they look like the before of a Dreamer Designs work. And Dreamer Designs, their paintings kind of look like they took a rendering of a watercolored painting, pixelated it, and then turned that into a diamond painting canvas. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. That's just how I see it, and I don't mean it in a shadeful way. So I don't want I don't want it to be shadeful. I do feel like the dreamer portion of what they're saying is they add maybe a clouding effect to make it kind of appear dreamlike. And I think that for me that details their art pieces. It's a watercolor, and there's nothing wrong with watercolors. Again, that if you're into paint by number, that's what you're painting. The renderings are going to finalize out to be. They're going to look more watercolory. If you're doing oil paintings will render a little more lifelike, but they take longer to dry. So that's why um, they use like an acrylic based painting, because they dry faster. Anyway, um, that's just my take and my rendition on the additional crafts that I probably could have gone into to help salvage my passion for diamond painting. But I have not gone into any of those crafts, and hence I've given the reasons why. But are there any of those for you? Oh, I just wanted to kind of jump in and kind of share this with you and kind of go over that. And the reason is because I probably won't go live tonight. If you're able to see this today, hopefully I didn't bring the mood down. I'm sorry if you feel like I did. I just wanted to kind of share the fear and trepidation that I have been kind of dealing with and things. And I will be back on in full effect next week. I know usually I'm a whole lot more comedic. I will be bringing that back as well. But I just wanted to make sure that I kind of took a honest moment, and I know a lot of people are sharing, their own videos about themselves and doing getting to know me's and things. So I wanted to maybe put a different spin on that and kind of just share what I'm going through, and hopefully, like I said, you guys are you guys can understand, and it doesn't, like I said, bring the mood down too much. I definitely thank you for tuning in and for checking out the video. Please hit the like button, please subscribe, and I'm so sorry if I brought your day down. I was hoping to kind of give everybody just that thoughtful moment to where you can kind of understand the crazy mind, just a fearful mom may have at a time that is uncertain. Okay? Thank you again for tuning in. You have a great rest of your day. Bye.